I want you to know I had to get this pop filter just because every time I say the name of your company, it was just Penny's Poultry. Like I couldn't do it.
Like
And I was in
RPs.
yes.
Like all the time.
I get these big fat lips and it's like pop, 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 pop.
Right?
My farmer's market leader says that I'm her favorite alliteration.
Oh yes.
Did you have to get the Windex after saying Penny's Pastured Poultry and like wipe down your screen?
No, this filter was wet. I had to towel it down.
Yeah, tell it down. Good.
So I got to say, it is super happy to see you. Thank you for being willing to do this.
Same, my pleasure.
It's just something new that we've started. And I want to start it off by saying I appreciate the sponsorship that we've recently received. And I've got a little commercial here.
Come on down to Penny's Pastured Poultry, got chicken and eggs and the taste is sultry. Just past where the map will say, come on down and see us today. Penny's Pastured Poultry, 18647 County Road 2529. Come on down.
Yeah,
See, I'm making commercials here.
I love it. I love it.
Get some eggs.
So I want to start by just asking, I know you there with my pop filter. I know you guys from many years ago. So what made you decide to pack it up and leave the city and your cityfied jobs and start a farm?
It was a long process. It started with our oldest son, actually, who we discovered at age 7. He had body hair and BO and other things like that. And we started really looking into what we were putting in our bodies. That first year that we started really looking at food and what was in food, it took me like 3 hours to shop for the first time because I was going through all the ingredients. And so as we discovered more and more healthy foods and more options, we got sick of the city, we got sick of the traffic, we got sick of all that stuff. And so we were like, well, let's move out to the farm. And with farm comes chickens, and here we
It's a
are.
package deal.
Yeah,
It's like if you're going to be out here, you got to make your own food.
basically.
It's a requirement once you pass the county line there.
That's right.
So describe your farm. Like, what's the size of it? What all are you producing? I know it's chicken and eggs, but tell me about it.
So we have 8 acres, and we have the ability to run about 3,000 birds, meat birds a year. We haven't quite ramped up to that yet. It's still been kind of a work in process and what all I can do, as myself. And then as my son got older, he's been helping out with the farm a lot lately too. So
Awesome. How old is he now?
18.
Oh, and that's not even child labor laws. Like, that is
I'm telling you.
full-fledged. He is employable against his
He
will.
is. It's official. Mm-hmm.
So forgive my ignorance. I hear this term a lot. Now, what is GMO and why is it bad?
So genetically modified, I'm not sure what the O is, but it's genetically modified, basically. So
It's unnatural food.
yeah, and I honestly haven't looked it up in quite a while, so it's been a minute. But basically, I know a lot of corn is genetically modified, and I've actually gotten into an argument with my sister-in-law about whether that was good or not. But for me, if it's not something that happens naturally, I don't want it.
How long have you guys been in the farming industry?
So I think 2018 was our official first year. So, gosh, is it 8 years already? 7 years?
Just about. You're getting there. You're getting
Yeah.
there. You'd be celebrating your 10-year anniversary soon.
10 years gone.
So what were some of the biggest challenges in getting it started?
So we started real small, and we first did a batch for ourselves to see if this is even something that we wanted to do. We did our first batch, really the first, the first initial start is always the hardest. And then it's been pretty much.
So forgive me, what is a batch for yourself? What is a batch?
So I can do about 6 batches of chickens. So for me at the beginning, it was like 50 birds at a time. And I would, not hatch them, but get them from day one and then grow them. They take about 8 to 10 weeks to grow out and then process them and then, that type of thing.
Yeah. So in preparation for this, I was, doing some research, and you can buy them in the egg, you can buy them hatched, and it's the whole, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Right.
So you started with the chicken.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I was gonna say, there's been a lot of talk about global warming, and has there been any environmental changes out in East Texas where it may affect your operations or anything that you're doing there?
Not really, no. This area, we moved out to this area specifically because of the amount of rain that it receives. And, of course, it's around 56 inches a year. And so, in the 8 years that we've been here, we've seen droughts and we've seen floods and, but not really. It's normal, natural cycle of weather.
You started in 2018. And
Yes.
you were in business a couple years in this magical event. COVID happened. So what happened while you were in the chicken industry and when the flu started hitting the world?
So we have a really good farmers market leader. She had us, instead of our booths being right next to each other, we split up and we had about 10 feet in between each booth. We had to wear masks that first year. I'm trying to think of anything else really, but I also had a really good farm store at the time, and they had recommendations, and they actually recommended that instead of having people come to our place, that we do a delivery. And so to this day, I still have deliveries that I make to customers on the regular.
Is that most of your business, or what percentage would you say that would rack up?
I would say probably about 30%.
Okay. And then most of it's your, so do you have your own brick and mortar on site, or do you go to local shops?
Farmers markets, really where
Farmers markets.
Yep. And then
Has that been pretty consistent for you?
Yes.
Have you noticed any rising costs for feed, fertilizer, anything, any of the products you're actually using? And this goes, general question, both before the election, leading up to it, and afterwards.
So actually, my biggest feed increase happened around 2021 when a lot of the food shortages was happening.
Yeah.
My feed bag went from $25 a 50-pound bag to $33 a 50-pound bag, and I'm still paying that price today.
And it's been that way since, you said, 2021?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have the back and forth threats of tariffs, and I know some of the tariffs are hitting agriculture, does that have any impact on your operations or some of the costs that are going on?
Not for me, no, because I get locally sourced feed, and everything I do is local, so the tariffs really don't affect me at all.
What about bird flu? I mean, that's been another important one that's going around. I from what I heard, again, with my short little research, that it hasn't really impacted the smaller operations, but how have you managed that, and has there been any concern for you?
I don't have any concerns for bird flu. I think that it was what do they call it? A red herring. But it's funny how only chickens were affected by the bird flu. Turkeys and quail didn't seem to be affected. I don't understand that, but no, it doesn't really affect me. I do take precautions from other types of birds getting into my chicken feed, which is what potentially could cause that to happen. But
do you have any other animals on site?
We not birds. We have 2 dogs.
So the dogs are pretty good bird deterrents too.
Very. Mm-hmm.
I had a golden retriever in the backyard. You just jump and catch them out of the sky when they'd swoop down.
Yep.
I was wondering where they were coming from.
Yep.
Chicken's a pretty consistent commodity. Have you seen many fluctuations in the industry since you started?
I would say, just because I think people know me better now, and I kind of built up a reputation, I would say that I've increased in sales. So it's been good for me.
Price of eggs have gone up. Do you feel like your operations have increased to justify that cost increase, or is that mainly for the larger scale operations?
So probably mainly for the larger scale. I I didn't price gouge because Brahms was offering dozen eggs for $8 doesn't mean that I needed to do that cost effectively. The only time I did raise my prices was when my feed went up. So I've been pretty consistent on my price since then. And I have been extremely loyal to the people that were loyal to me. So I wasn't going to price gouge them.
I mean, that's great to hear that, A, it's not affecting you in that kind of way, and B, that the consumers aren't feeling the pinch just because you want to match prices with the other competitors. So
Right.
good job. And
Thank
that
you.
brings me to another shameless plug for you.
All right.
Let's see what we got here.
Have you ever seen a chicken lift a car? Now, I'm not making this up. I've seen these chickens lift cars, planes, even a small building once to save another chicken. Now, if you're looking for chicken and eggs packed with protein and power, then look no further than Penny's Pastured Poultry. Come on down.
I love
I
it.
spent a lot of time doing this. I want you to
Yeah.
know. I was
I love
really
it.
enjoying the work I was doing.
Good.
So what are some of the concerns you may have for your operations, your business? I mean, we live in some very tumultuous times. Anything could happen any day. So what are you concerned about moving forward?
So moving forward, I think the future's pretty good. What some of the things that did affect me, like with COVID, a lot of the hatcheries I had trouble getting day-old chickens. I also had problems getting into my processing facility because they didn't have the staff to have full schedules rotating, and so it was kind of really tricky there. 2021 to 2022 was a rough year for us, or rough time for us.
Do you think the immigration concerns might hit some of the processing plants and some of those other businesses you may rely on?
It's a potential because that's mainly who I see in there working, so it's potential.
I have some friends in East Texas that run a plant farm, and they, the industry, the town that they live in kind of relies on that industry. So you do see a lot of that. And what they've noticed is that their town has quietened down, and anytime they're around, it's relayed throughout the community. Is that the same kind of thing where you're at?
Kind of. The place that I go is in Hill. So, I would say when we've started in 2018, I didn't notice as much of the staff, but now I pay attention to it. And I would say that they might have some issues. It'll be interesting to see.
I definitely hope it all works out for you.
Thank you.
What kind of policy changes are important to you, and do you think the administration should spend some time considering?
So I am a huge RFK Jr. fan. I love what he is doing for the food industry. There's no reason why French fries should be cooked in seed oil. Beef tallow is the way that it was done for years and years, and it's in my opinion, the yummiest. I see nothing but good things coming from what he has to say about, and I think that it will also help maybe people realize that maybe farmers markets are a little bit healthier option. I mean, especially places where we don't have Sprouts or Whole Foods over here. So
Yeah, for sure. And I always enjoy walking around. You see a pop-up farmers market on the weekends. Those are always definitely enjoyable to stop by.
yes, they are.
I see magical fruits I've never even heard of before.
Yep.
So what advice would you give somebody that is considering starting either a family farm or starting a business?
Take it easy. A lot of the farmers that I talk to that are getting into it, it's because they started a small batch for themselves and they really enjoyed it. Get to know your consumer, do your research. Is there already enough chicken farmers in your area? That type of thing. I've been going 30 miles away from my farmer's market, and one just opened up here in town, but before I could even apply, they already said they had too many chicken farmers. So,
Yeah, I can imagine a lot of people not to discount anything you're doing, but it kind of seems like an entry into, full scale farming. I was
Absolutely.
watching some stuff today and they were talking about how, they started with a chicken farm and then they needed to rotate their land. So, one of the questions I had for you, have you considered growing and doing other things so that you can rotate your land and have a full functioning, full cycle?
Yes. I don't think I could ever do pigs because mainly they're too destructive for pastures, but sheep's, or even cows, and especially having where your cows are and then moving them into another rotation of your pasture and then bringing the chickens in to peck and scratch at where all the lovely evidence they left behind.
Yeah.
It's supposedly like the best you can do, for
there's a whole plan around it. Even my wife and I would joked around like, man, we would love a horse. So, well, we've got one of those, we'd have to get sheep so we could rotate the land. Like, what are you talking about? It's just I'm an ignorant city boy, in which I feel the need to ask the important question many people may not know, and this could be an inside scoop. So where does the egg actually come from? Because I didn't know if it came out of the backside, if they have a chicken. I'm really not sure how that process works.
It's called
for us ignorant city people.
I do believe that is their only. Have you seen? Oh my gosh, what was the movie? Ant-Man, Quantanium, where he has to drink from the ooze, and the guy's mad that he doesn't have any holes.
It's like where's the egg?
I'm pretty sure they only have the one hole, but it's called a vent, and that's where everything comes out of. And a chicken usually will give you an egg every other day.
Every other day. So you got 300 meat birds. Is that the same quantity of chickens that is your egg source too?
No, I have a whole separate flock of egg layers, and we have about 30.
Okay.
And so usually get around 15 to 2 dozen eggs a day.
You take your cut off the top so you get fresh breakfast every morning?
Yes, we do, especially while I'm on this carnivore diet. Yep. Got to eat my protein.
Carnivore diet. Okay.
Yep.
My son has been bulking up at the gym. He's doing that whole thing, and he's going through. We'll get 2 like 10-pound things of chicken a week, and I put them on the smoker, and that's his food. That's his protein along with the eggs. And I need somebody like you locally that could just deliver 10 pounds every Monday to my front door.
That's right. Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
Penny, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Penny's Pastured Poultry. Come on down. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.